So this week, I try not to get hit in the head with tape while we talk about the trifecta of recovery, which is
sleep. We're back with the College Lecture Show. I'm your host, Will Everell, here with Kara, back again to discuss a topic she brought up the other day, which is the trifecta to recovery. Now, why did you kind of come up with this idea of this trifecta?
well, it's not original.
Okay, but what made you think we need to do an episode on this?
Because really most of our episodes so far have been based on training to get stronger, training for a specific purpose, but we've not really ever talked about the recovery aspect of it, which if you're not recovering, you can be doing all the best things in the gym.
True.
At some point, it's just, you're either going to plateau or it's just not going to matter anymore.
Yeah, because, I mean, you hear all this, old school stuff of, I'll sleep when I'm dead, and, I like to be overtrained, and some of that I actually agree with to an extent. We'll get into that. But, if you're not recovering, you don't have time to get better. It's like, so if you take medicine, all right, you're supposed to take X amount of medicine, and then over a period of time, you'll see the effects of it, whatever it is. Not recovering is like, let's say you're taking medicine for head trauma. You take your medicine, and you start bashing your head against the wall again. Then you take more medicine, and you start bashing your head against the wall. You have no time for it to actually work. You keep hurting yourself. And so recovery is a really big aspect of that. So the first thing is going to be eating.
Yeah, definitely a big part. But I honestly don't think that's the part most people are messing up on.
You don't think? Okay, well, for those people who might be messing up on it, what do you think? What is your perspective based on your experience?
First of all, you have to eat enough to sustain your style of training, however that may be. So if you're just doing the one CrossFit workout a day, probably don't need to eat as much, but you definitely still need to eat to fuel your body because those are really high intensity. If you're doing your CrossFit workout a day, plus an extra accessory workout and maybe some other stuff, and you're there for like 2-3 hours like I am, you're starting to really have to up what you eat.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, I would eat a baseline, I'd increase my volume of my strength stuff, and halfway through the workout I'd be hungry. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, man, I'm a little bit through my warm-up and I'm starving. I see people walking with shakes and I just want to run over and tackle them and steal the shake. It got really bad. So, you do need to do that. Sorry to interrupt. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, because I think that's a really good point. And as far as you were talking about your baseline, in all honesty, it's kind of an experimental process. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of us aren't dietitians, and everybody kind of runs off their own thing. I think macro is probably one of the best ways as far as counting your macros, at least for me, because then I can make sure that I'm actually getting the right amounts of each element that I need in my diet to train.
Yeah, if you're a carb counter, first of all, why? It's 2016. We've got some new stuff. It's called Counting Macros. It's a little bit more dialed into, I mean, you could even get as nerdy if you knew about it enough to dialing into the type of training you're doing and what you'd be supposedly burning. But really, just tracking macros is a more exact way of doing it. It's no harder than tracking calories. And the split we usually recommend is either 40-30-30, so 40 grams of 40% protein, 40% carbs, 30% fat, or you could go the Arnold 40-40-20, so 40 protein and carbs, 20 fat.
Mm-hmm. And there's no necessarily right or wrong. You kind of do have to spend a little bit of time experimenting, seeing what works for you. And if you're just like really bad at counting, or you're really bad at going and snacking on stuff and just completely forgetting what was in it, then, I mean, there's all these meal companies out there these days that are great, like Paleo Power Meals, and I think, like, they're all pretty much locally based. There are very few that actually ship around the country, but if you have the money to spend, that's a great option as far as to help you actually stay on track, because those kind of companies, you can tend to tell them what your training's like, whether your goal is to lose, maintain, or gain, and they can help really kind of set you up.
And some might even ask, hey, what are your macros? What do you want? Mm-hmm. So that makes it really nice too. So if you're already doing that, the next thing, what do you think people are messing up most on?
Sleep.
Sleep.
I mess up that one.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people mess up sleep. I think sleep is one of those things where it's kind of like, if you drop your food. At first, you don't really notice it. You're like, yeah, good, man. I mean, I'm a little hungry, but I'm fine. I can still keep going, and you've noticed this. I think I'm fine.
Oh, yeah.
But without food, and then all of a sudden I just fall apart. The same thing with sleep. You can be like, oh man, I just run off 5-6 hours. I'm good. Like, that's just me. That's how I work.
But then if you do that, and then you go to bed on Friday night, don't set the alarm, and don't wake up till 2 in the afternoon on Saturday, I am about to say that you're not getting enough sleep, whether you think you are or not.
Yeah, there is. I mean, they do sleep studies on mostly college kids because we're the only ones with enough free time to do this. But what they'll do is put you in a dark room for most of the day, let you out for like 4 hours, till you get to the point where you're sleeping a consistent amount of time, and the rest of the time in complete darkness, perfect temperature for sleep, nothing else going on. You're just laying awake. And that's when they know they've regulated you. Now, usually after that, they then destroy you for part of the study. But once you, like, I have blinds in my room. What are they called?
Blackout shades?
Blackout shades.
Blackout shades are great, guys.
They are great. The second best thing, which worked for me temporarily, but I don't like sleeping with anything on or anything. Like, she keeps bugging me to sleep with this watch on.
It like measures how well you're sleeping, which is kind of nice to know. I like it.
It is nice to know, but I have an issue with stuff on me, so I used a sleep mask for a little bit before I got the blinds. But for me, that was irritant. For most people who don't get irritated by stuff hanging on when they sleep, that could just be what you go with if you don't want to put up blinds or something. But yeah, so just simple stuff like that will help you out, and try 8 hours. Just try. Go on a vacation. Next time you're on vacation, no alarms, blackout shades, mask, whatever, and try to get yourself regulated to that point.
And if you know you're like us, where we need to be up at 5:30 in the morning, him for working out, me for my job, be responsible adults. And don't stay up until 1 in the morning. If you know you have to do that, I'm in bed by 10 o'clock at the latest.
Yeah, I'm in bed by
I'm
9
a grandma.
usually. Yeah.
Yeah, he's worse.
But I know I need more sleep than she does.
That is so true.
Now, some of you, very few, I don't want to see in the comments, I'm this person. Most likely you're not. Some people, and she happens to be one of them, does just like, even when everything's in place, sleep a little bit less than most. And I sleep a little bit more than most when everything's in place. So it really just depends who you are. Really, it's the gauge is between 7 and 9 hours.
Yeah. And honestly, I know that some of y'all are in the position of us. I know that we've kind of put out there that we're college kids, which means sometimes we don't have the budget to get completely the amount of food that we need. Or we just don't have enough time in the day to get as much sleep as we need. Me. And so at that point, like, you just kind of need to realize it, and whichever one you are more capable of staying in line with, really make sure you stay in line with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of gimmicks out there. I mean, I'm researching stuff now as to ways that, with ketogenic diets, the ability to increase your sensitivity to different growth hormones and different, just hormones in general, to play with stuff like that. But start out with the basics. Don't go crazy, because that's my tendency, and I'm sure there are other people out there like me who they go into this crazy science, just mixing this up through this metabolic pathway and through this nutrient and all this. Just keep it simple at first. So, and make sure you're getting enough. Like, if you're not getting 1 pound or 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein, you need to fix that. Just buy some chicken. It's cheap. Trust me, it takes a while before I get too tired of chicken. This week I did, and I switched to hamburger just because chicken for like
And
2
he
months.
brilliantly decided not to eat 3 of his meals this week because he was tired of chicken.
Then I didn't want to cook it, and I got lazy. Don't do that either. Okay, another point. I know we keep going back to diet. Meal prep. Meal prep so you don't end up in that place. Meal prep in a time where you're not busy. So on the weekends, prepare your meals for the week so you don't end up doing, which I inevitably end up doing this every, once a month or twice a month. 1 week, I won't meal prep. And then I'm too busy to meal prep with schoolwork and everything else. So don't fall into that trap. It's a bad place to be. And also, and your school performance and your job performance falls off. At least mine does.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, it can get a little bit ridiculous trying to keep track and make sure that you're maintaining like, all these different elements. But if you have a goal to get better in your training, honestly, it's worth the time.
Just try it out for a week. And with the counting macros and tracking macros, you can just do what I do. I plan out what I'm going to eat every day. I eat the same thing. And it's like, I just have to log in one day. When I go to the grocery store, I log in. All right, I want this much of that much of this. Does that fit? Okay, tweak that. Okay, this is what I'm eating. This is how much it is. That's it. I'm done. I know what I'm going to hit all week.
And the really fun thing, and this kind of amazes him, that we'll be in the grocery store and say, oh yeah, that has like blah 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 carbs, that has blah blah
I
blah
don't know
fat.
how she does that. I've been doing this longer than her, and I don't know how she does that.
I have a really good memory. Just because, like, if you kind of eat like the same general basic things, you kind of get a feel for what the macros are. So you can just go into the grocery store and you know what you're getting. So even if you do decide to mix it up day to day, you still have a basic idea to make sure that you have this same amount of all the macros every single day.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So we covered eating a lot.
Yeah.
Covered sleep a little bit, but really it's simple. Just get to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Don't stay up till 2 watching episodes on TV. Let's be adults here. That was a little harsh.
That was a little hard.
Just go to bed. Your dreams are probably way better than the show anyways. It's probably
His are. My gosh.
I have really wild dreams.
He does.
I want to go over supplementation real quick though, as we're going
Okay,
through
I'll leave
that.
that to you.
So, if you're trying to get strong, really just take creatine. Take creatine. Trying to get stronger, it helps. Know the purpose of it is to not gain water weight. Stop that. Just kill that stupid myth. Alright? The purpose of it is to gain strength. A side effect, a small percentage of the population will be a little bit of water retention. But so will eating too many carbohydrates.
That's true.
Not a big deal. It's the cheapest thing out there, and it's the thing that's been studied and proven the most, I think, behind coffee. So, which, if you haven't looked, there are billions of studies on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's cheap. People will say it's not for endurance athletes. Well, actually, it kind of is because of the pathways of it, and it is also being researched to help in Parkinson's. I'm not a doctor. I'm not prescribing it to anyone. But I like to take it for a lot of those reasons. Some of them may be unproven. I'm not a doctor. Talk to your doctor before taking anything.
That should be like a subtitle at the bottom of the screen right there. Like
Yeah.
you said that.
Just want to cover my bases. Anyways, so on to mobility. So a lot of people misunderstand this.
And I also think this is another like big miss. Like
Yeah.
the only people that really consistently do mobility are pretty much athletes. And
Yeah,
just
people
your
who see the time.
your day to day, just go to the gym for an hour, maybe get there 15 minutes early, maybe warm up a little bit, which by the way, mobility is better to do afterwards, which I rarely see people doing.
And I see people criticize mobility for, well, it's not good before, so you should do it after. And I even hear some people criticizing Kelly. Kelly originally said mobility is for after, and he still says it.
And the reason being is your muscles are warm and going to be more receptive to the change.
Yeah, and there is evidence to suggest that stretching of any kind before a workout will decrease the amount of force you can produce because you've changed the muscle length.
Which I can actually say is true. I have actually had that happen where I was lifting better and then I stretched out and I actually had a little bit more hard of a time. That was really bad grammar. Lifting whatever I had on the bar.
Yeah, so stretching can have problems. There are some things, like so you hear hip capsule, you're not in there to make change. So if you do something like a little hip capsule before I work out, I'm not trying to make change. I'm trying to wake up that just wrapping of tendon around each joint so that it can move properly and just regain its position, because I work out as soon as I wake up. I work out in the morning. So doing something like that, just hit it for like 30 seconds and move on, that's different than sitting in there for 2 minutes, doing the contract, relax, trying to make change.
Mm-hmm. And kind of on that line, if you recall on the last episode we did together, the car trip one, I said that I was going to do, here we go, it's about to get entertaining, folks. I said that I was going to do the ROMWOD 14-day trial and report back. Obviously it's been more than 14 days.
So what do you
And
think?
seeing what we're talking about, I like it. I really do.
Now, what are the reasons?
Okay, well, first of all, it does make it more accessible for the home athlete.
Yeah.
And that is true because, as we've already discussed, you know, people get there 15 minutes early, maybe stay 15 minutes late, just kind of rolling out stuff with no real directive to it a lot of time. So, for somebody to have it planned out for you, a lot of people work better with that.
Yeah.
And for me, it's kind of a cue to make sure that I get my mobility in each day, because it doesn't honestly already cross my mind. It's only $15 a month. If you're in our case and that's a little bit more for you because you don't make the highest end, you might want to reconsider, because it's not like you can't do all this stuff on your own. It's basically yoga. It's not even the Kelly Startup Mobility where you're getting in there with voodoo floss and lacrosse balls.
Which is better?
It makes more change faster. You will still see change with round one. You will. But the thing for me is, it's kind of a cueing. First of all, I do it typically in the evening after I've been home for more of the afternoon after workout than I really should have been to do mobility. So it gets me back to being warmed up. So then after that, I can go back and hit it with the lacrosse ball and voodoo floss and all that stuff, and it really works together quite well.
Yeah.
It's also very relaxing in kind of a weird way.
It's a little too hippie for me, but that's...
Sometimes the dialogue does get a little weird, I will say. I forget what we're doing. I think we're doing like some version of a saddle stretch. He's like, now I know some of y'all want to do this every day because you really love it. But we're not doing that. This is the only time this week. Don't be angry at me. It's okay. We can't do the same thing
Let's
every
try
day.
to
It's working on
let's
your
not
weekends.
quote it. Alright.
It was quite a long stretch. But, so the dialogue, just kind of zone out of it. But it is kind of relaxing, to be honest, if you do it at the end of the day, which I liked because I get really high key at the end of the day because I work pretty much up until I go to bed.
Yeah, she has trouble calming down.
Yeah, and then it's really hard to turn off my mind. So that's really nice for me. And it is nice to have something that I have to do every day. And another thing I really like about the website is, they have your daily programming. But if you were working a certain element at your gym that day, you can go and search the video files, all of the stretches that are related to that specific movement.
Yeah.
So you can skip whatever they're doing that day and really do one that focuses on whatever's really sore at the moment. I like that.
Yeah, I will say, if you would like more of the, let's say, active techniques that the Supple Leopard stuff and Kelly Startup put out, there is a membership that they have where you have every day this is what we're doing, and they also have the database.
They do have quite a large database, which you can find most of those videos just on YouTube, by the way.
It's not as relaxing. Some of it is a little painful, especially if you have a super friend. But in my opinion, it's more effective in a shorter amount of time, so I like it for that.
It is. So if you need to see a lot of change fast,
Go to Kelly.
yeah. But if you just need something to kind of make sure that you're doing it every single day and to keep you accountable, it's easier to do that, I think, if you have a video series or somebody kind of telling you programming for you.
Yeah.
Versus, Supple Leopard's great. It is split into, I think, 14 different parts that...
Yeah, but they also do have an online, like you can
They
go
do.
in and join a membership, and it's like
But once again,
it's
like,
programmed.
if you don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
The book is really well laid out.
Especially the new one, they've divided up into, I think, a couple archetypes of movement, so it's easier to be like, all right, well, this is the position I'm having trouble to get in. So boom, 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 that's where it is. We got it. So.
But really what I think is best is combining the two.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Ronald
So-
was very relaxing.
It is. It honestly is. It's great. I'm not really sure how I feel about doing it in the middle of the day and then trying to work afterwards.
No, I'd have to do it at night as well, yeah.
Yeah, because we would do that some Fridays at my gym. We would just all get together after our 9:30 class and we'd all do round one in the gym at like 10:30 in the morning. It was really, first of all, it's funny to see 20 people around you and laugh at them doing various and sundry yoga poses and stretches, which some people are better getting into than others. There was one, oh my gosh. So it was just kind of like, basically, I think it was the saddle, but you bend like pretty much all the way back on your legs, so you're...
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, so it's a really great quad stretch. But all the guys were like, oh my gosh, like they could only go halfway down and all the girls were laying flat and they're like, how?
Now I will say, one thing I like about Kelly is so in his thing, mobility is not just flexibility, it's flexibility and positional stability.
Mm-hmm.
So in his, he stresses position while you're stretching. I do see a lot of people, usually these are women because they have more flexibility in odd ways than men, and instead of keeping their knee kind of stacked where their femur's on top of their shin, they'll deviate out to the side and just crank that knee to the side. So that is something that women will do, usually women, that I don't agree with. Like the stretching where you like yank your leg out there, I don't agree with that. Like that's different than internal rotation, and we can do a lot more with internal rotation, but anything where you're putting that valgus meaning pushing in towards the midline, force on the knee, you're probably causing damage. So if you are a limber person, watch that, because you could end up in some trouble by doing that all the time.
Yeah. I know one of the things he prefers about Kelly over Ramwad is that Kelly's really good about telling you why you're doing something, what specific change it's making, and how.
Yeah, and the position you're supposed to be in, because a lot of people will deviate, and even people, I mean, obviously he's not there, he's a very busy guy, so he's not there for everyone who's doing it, but it is stressed that you remain in a good position.
Mm-hmm. So, just basically find a way that holds you accountable to do it every day. If that's Ramwad, great. Just realize that it's not the end-all be-all. There are other things that you need to do to maintain your body. Also, kind of on the lines of recovery, that's not really any of those three necessarily, is just learning how long you take to recover as an athlete, especially if you're leading up to an event or anything specific. Like we're going through the Open right now. We just did 16.1.
We'll talk about this in a
Oh, okay. Really.
I have a prop, folks. It's okay.
Yes, prop. We did 16.1. I did 16.1 yesterday at Mako, which was a lot of fun. But obviously, we don't know what the Open workout is going to be until Thursday. And my Wednesday workout at my gym was going to blow out my upper body, which is something I've been working on an accessory every day for 2 months. And I have just learned that instead of taking 1 day to recover like it normally does, it actually takes my upper body 2 days to recover. So I made the decision based on that to not do Wednesday's workout, because if I needed my upper body too much for 16.1 on Friday night, I wasn't going to be ready for it. And it turned out to be a darn good thing I didn't do it, because I needed my shoulders to stabilize a bar. So just kind of get to the point where you know your body in that way. If you're just doing a workout weekly, that's totally fine. If you have that point, just don't go as heavy on the workout, or, you know, take it more as a positional day than a speed day. Something like that, real easy. But if you know you're coming up to something you've been training for, make sure you know your body well enough to know how you need to recover for that.
And on that note, if you do have some sort of training goal, I mean, this is the College Lifter Show. Hopefully most of the people watching are in some sort of college or university. If you have some sort of goal, forget this 1 month cycle of strength and, you know, speed and all this other stupid stuff. Like, let's look at 4 years. Let's look at 2 years. Now, you can still compete in that time as testers, but your ultimate goal should be further on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of the short little, oh yeah, we're just going to do this little cycle and then we're going to forget everything about it and lose everything we did. No, keep it like what she's been doing. She sacrificed a couple workouts to better herself in this phase of building strength, even though we are in a competition. This is something fun, a little bit of a tester, but the overall goal is further out.
Yeah, just a little fun fact about me. I'm in year 2 of a 5-year goal. So I've already actually kind of deviated. Obviously, the Open was skilled last year. I was planning on doing the entire Open skilled this year. I already blew that. I got really mad when I saw the skilled version, because I'm kind of on that in-between, and the skilled version I just felt like was almost insultingly easy, to be completely honest.
To her, not everyone.
Yeah, if you're at that place where you're like, I can do it RX, but it's going to be kind of... And I actually did much better than I thought I would do RX.
Yeah.
I thought I might get 3 rounds. I got into the 5th, so... Yes. But I really got sidetracked. Anyways, so I just decided, just for my own purposes, not to do skill. But the idea is that I'm sacrificing some of my performances in this year's Open, because if you're coming up to a competition, you want to, at least for CrossFit, you want to be focusing more on the cardio elements and just being able to move quickly. And if you're really focusing on strength thing going up to that, that could hinder your performance, as far as, like I said, your muscles are going to be tired for it. But I chose to start working on the strength early, sacrificing part of my performance for this year's Open in order to do the RX workouts all the time from here on out, and hopefully in 5 years I'm around 150, 200 in the region. That's what I'm going for, and that's what I have to keep in mind if I ever get frustrated with where I'm at.
And last point about recovery. See this? Go buy this. This is an electrolyte solution to put in your water. You should be drinking half your body weight in pounds in ounces of water. Or to make it better for those of you over in Europe, however much you weigh in kilos, drink that amount of ounces of water. And stick this in there occasionally to make sure it's actually being pulled into your cells.
Yeah, because it's not always just the quantity of water, because if you drink a ton of water and it goes straight through you, you're not getting what you need out of it.
Yeah, this will help your cells absorb it because of electrolytes and the different balances of all that. No one really likes a lot of science on YouTube, so do it.
You can look it up.
It'll help, especially, and just from a perspective of you lose the stuff that's in here when you sweat. And if you sweat like me, that's a lot.
Oh my gosh. We are chilling over here, warm up, all good. We've had to do like 2 laps around the gym. He looks like he just completed a 20-minute AMRAP.
Yeah. So, if you sweat like me, definitely get that and drink enough water. That's going to be it for this week. We'll see you all next week. Please hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
I'm going to be filming another vlog today. And we're going to start filming something new for you, hopefully today.
Yes.
Regarding weightlifting, correct?
Yes.
So stay tuned for that. It's going to be awesome.
All
Awesome
right.
sauce.
See you all later.